Hello. So today I'm going to be talking about artificial dyes. Um, so basically, I was about 18 years old when I found out that artificial dyes are one of the triggers for my seizures. All of them: red, yellow, blue, green, pink. Um, Unless they're natural dyes, but I'll get more into that. Okay. So, artificial dye consumption has increased by 500% in the last 50 years, and children are the biggest known consumers. One thing that I've noticed with uh, with people that I know is they'll get a lot of things that they like personally. Like I used to be a fan of M&M's, Skittles, Twizzlers, the real Twizzlers, not the new ones that taste like wax. But the original Twizzlers. I used to get those all the time, but unfortunately I haven't, and I can't have chocolate either, because I'm allergic to caffeine as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I can't eat anymore. But yeah, so they're also responsible for the bright colors of candy, sports drinks, and baked goods such as desserts. Also, other foods include many different kinds of frostings, flavored syrups for ice cream or milk, such as chocolate, strawberry, caramel, and caramel, to name a few. They're even used in certain brands of pickles, smoked salmon, and salad dressing, as well as medications. I didn't know for sure that I was allergic to artificial dyes until I was taking a seizure medication. It was kind of a orange color, but later found out that it had yellow dye in it. And my body's the most sensitive with yellow dye. But any of the artificial dyes caused me to have a seizure. But the smoked salmon, I was kind of surprised about. But with a lot of food that is like a brown color, you may find, like especially chocolate frostings and the brown M&Ms, they have red, blue, and yellow. And one thing that I'm kind of confused about is the orange cream pies. I miss those. I used to snack on them all the time. But I found out that they put red, yellow, and blue in it. I don't see why they would put those in there. Why can't you just have natural stuff instead of all that artificial crap? Let's see. Some of the possible side effects from artificial dyes are hyperactivity in children, like children, especially with ADHD, or autism, as well as cancer, seizures, heart palpitations, and other allergy reactions. Food dyes are chemical substances that were developed to enhance the appearance of food by giving it artificial color. Like a couple examples are maraschino cherries. Naturally, cherries, when they're in some type of supposed clear liquid, they are not that red. They're more of a closer to a like a dark pink color, not like the dark red. They put red dye in those cherries, and very rarely will you find a can of dye-free cherries. And one of my favorite pies is cherry pie. People have added colorings to food for centuries, but the first artificial food colorings were created in 1856 from coal tar. Ooh. Just hearing that doesn't sound very good. Cancer experimental studies have found that exposure to and application of coal tar produce skin tumors. Coal tar has also been associated with lung, bladder, kidney, breast, and breast cancers, along with digestive tract issues. Are you sure you want to put that stuff in your system? Nowadays, food dyes are made from petroleum. Oh, that makes it so much better. Petroleum is a liquid mixture of hydrocarbons that is present in certain rock strata and can be extracted and refined to produce fuels, including gasoline, kerosene, and diesel oil. Are you sure you want to ingest this stuff? I mean, come on. If only you knew the kind of stuff that's in these artificial dyes, it would just boggle your mind. Over the years, hundreds of artificial food dyes have developed, but a majority of them have since been found to be toxic. There are only a handful of artificial dyes that are still used in food. Any artificial dye is toxic when you ingest it. Any of them. Food manufacturers often prefer artificial food dyes over natural food colorings, such as beta-carotene and beet extract, because they produce a more vibrant color. Okay, I have to disagree with that, because growing up, there was this marshmallow cereal that I always liked to eat. It was a different name from Lucky Charms. But at Aldi's, I highly recommend people to shop there. Not only because their food is cheaper, they're also 95% artificial dye free. Because Aldi's is German owned, and Germany has outlawed artificial dyes. Let's see, where was I at? Food manufacturers often prefer artificial food dyes over natural food colorings. And I just read that. Okay. There is always a price to pay for making something look more nice and presentable, but is it worth the risk? And just letting you know, it's 87 degrees in my room, so that's why my fans are going. I'm a little bit warm, so if I go a little off track, that's why. However, there is quite a bit of controversy regarding the safety of artificial food dyes. All of the artificial dyes that are currently used in food have gone through testing for toxicity in animal studies. My question is, what animals are they testing them on? It doesn't matter because human and animal digestive systems have different processes and how fast or slow the food, or in this case, dyes, runs through their systems. Like, let's say a human takes a little bit longer than it does for, like, a rat. Let's see. And also, why would we need to test these things on animals? Why can't we just do human trials with artificial dyes or anything else? Animals are not to be used as freaking props, because they're not here for that. They were here before we were. So, in my opinion, we should give them more respect. How do we know for sure that the animals that are being tested aren't showing any symptoms from the chemicals, food dyes, that are being put in their systems? How do we know for sure? These independent companies that the FDA supposedly funds, how do we know for sure that they're not showing any symptoms? I mean, Can't always believe everything that you read. Not everyone agrees with that conclusion. Interestingly, some food dyes are deemed safe in one country but banned from human consumption in another, making it extremely confusing to assess their safety. How can it be confusing if the FDA themselves know that artificial dyes are toxic? Germany has outlawed artificial dyes, which I already said, which is why I typically go to Aldi's. Let's see. And there's also a lot of foods there that I can't get from regular grocery stores. There's a lot of foods at Aldi's that I can have that I can't get from other grocery stores because the foods at Aldi's are mostly artificial dye and artificial sweetener free. Artificial sweeteners will be another topic to talk about. Okay, so here's a list of known artificial dyes and what they are mainly contained in. Red number 3, or as known as erythrosine, please bear with me with these words, a cherry red coloring commonly used in candy, popsicles, and cake decorating gels. Okay. Red number 40, which is the worst dye, or as known as Allura Red, a dark red dye that is used in sports drinks, candy, condiments, and cereals. What's the purpose of sports drinks if they're putting, along with electrolytes, if they're putting chemicals in there that could potentially hurt you? What's the point in that? Yellow number 5, or known as tartrazine, a lemon yellow dye that is found in candy, soft drinks, chips, popcorn, and cereals. Let's see. Yellow number 6, sunset yellow, an orange yellow dye that is used in candy, sauces, baked goods, and preserved fruits. Fruits are supposed to be natural. You're not supposed to add anything to them. Blue number 1, or brilliant blue, a greenish blue dye used in ice cream, canned peas, packed soups, popsicles, and icings. Canned peas. They're vegetables. They're supposed to remain natural. Nothing artificial. Blue number 2, indigo carmine. Please bear with me with these words. A royal blue dye found in candy, ice cream, cereal, and snacks. Have you noticed a little trend that goes on with these dyes? Candy, cereal, ice cream, snacks. The most popular food dyes are red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6. These three make up about 90% of all the food dye used in the US. Wow. I betcha maybe about 90% of the stuff that most of you get probably has one of those dyes in it. You'd be surprised. A few other dyes are approved in some countries but banned in others. Green number 3, also known as fast green, is approved by the FDA but banned in Europe. Why can't all the other food dyes be banned? Okay. Quinoline yellow, carmesine or Ponceau, spelled Ponceau, are examples of food colorings allowed in the United Kingdom, but banned in the US. I guess I'm confused as to why those are banned, but not banned in the US, but not anywhere else. I guess I'm a little confused with that. In 1973, a pediatric allergist claimed that hyperactivity and learning problems in children were caused by artificial food colorings and preservatives in food. This also can include from pregnancy, because mainly what the mother eats goes straight to the baby. Keep that in mind. The doctor introduced an elimination diet as a treatment for attention deficit disorder, or ADHD as we all know. The diet eliminates all artificial food colorings along with a few other artificial ingredients. We should be doing that regardless. A small study found that 73% of children with ADHD showed a decrease in symptoms when artificial food dyes and preservatives were eliminated. Shouldn't be a small study. Just eliminate all artificial stuff. Have it all natural. It's not that hard. But of course, all these corporations are all about making their products look the best. But any other natural colorings can make it look just as good. And it may taste even better. Tartrazine, also known as yellow 5, has been associated with behavioral changes including irritability, restlessness, depression, and difficulty with sleeping. Can any of you relate to those symptoms? I know I can. Even though I don't ingest dyes anymore, I still have those lasting effects. Yet it appears that not all children react the same way to food dyes. Everyone's different. Researchers at Southampton University found a genetic component that determines how food dyes affect a child. It's not just children, though. It can be teenagers, adults, babies. While effects from food dyes have been observed in children with and without ADHD, some children seem much more sensitive to dyes than others. It's not that just children, it's people of all ages, like I just said. Interestingly, in 2009, the British government began encouraging food manufacturers to find alternate substances to color food. As of 2010 in the UK, a warning is required on the labels of any food that contains artificial food dyes. People need to be making these warnings on all labels that have those dyes listed everywhere around the world, not just the UK. And my glasses are wanting to fall off. Okay. Red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6 may contain contaminants that are known cancer-causing substances. Benzidine, I don't know what that word is, but it has a 4 in front of it. It's spelled AMINOBIPHENYL, and another word I can't pronounce. It has a 4 in front of it. AMINOAZOBENZENE are potential carcinogens that have been found in food dyes. And this is some of the stuff you want to put in your bodies. Ooh. Not good. Tartrazine, yellow dye, is a synthetic yellow azo dye primarily used as food coloring, as we all know. It is also known as E number 102. CI 19140, FD&C, which is also known as food decoration and coloring, yellow 5, acid yellow, 23. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. Food yellow, 4, and trisodium. Gotta be careful with that stuff. You shouldn't be ingesting it anyway. Red dye is the worst, like I've said before. Our brain imaging work also demonstrates that red dye can dramatically affect brain function. Consider the case of Robert, and you can also look this up. A 15-year-old who was recently imaged at Amen clinics. His parents noticed that whenever Robert ate or drank something bright red, his behavior became aggressive and hostile. He would easily cry and storm off in a huff or throw things. When your children show symptoms of that, go back to what they ate that day and see, because, yeah, I think that'd be a good, interesting thing to look at and see if there's a pattern there. Because children don't typically just throw fits for no reason, despite what a lot of parents think. There's always a root problem. They brought him to Amen clinics to confirm their suspicions that he was reacting to these food additives. Both adults and children have reported upset stomach, migraines, jitteriness, nervousness, and inability to concentrate after a high intake of red dye. The Center of Science in the Public Interest, or known as CSPI, recently released a report that says artificial food dyes pose a rainbow of risks, including everything from Allura Red 40. Do you really want to put that stuff in your system? Other names for red dye: Allura Red, CI16035. I'm not thinking they'd put those numbers in the ingredients, but maybe in other countries they would. CI Food Red 17. I've never heard that one before. FD&C Red number 40. Let's see. I know those M&Ms, Jell-O, Kool-Aid, Gatorade, Powerade, Skittles, fruit snacks, sodas, and many other things look appealing and they may taste good, but are they really worth the potential price that you or your child or children would have to pay? Really? Just really think about that. Please take this information and learn from it. Look at all of the chemicals they put in the artificial food dyes. Do you really want to ingest that stuff? Like petroleum? I mean, really? Make sure to read all labels, and whenever you go to a restaurant, bar, or any type of party that has catering or homemade food, make sure to ask if there are any artificial dyes in the food. Restaurants or any other public place that serve food or drink are required by law to tell you if there's artificial dyes. They have to go and check the ingredients. Something I would like to add to that. I've known somebody, actually a couple of people, who have an allergy to red dye itself, which is mainly one of the most common dyes to have an allergy to. I know somebody, my biological mom, she found out that she can't have red dye because it causes her to have seizures as well. I also know of someone else who has heart palpitations, and also signs of a heart attack after they ingest red dye. But seriously, I would seriously think about all of this information that I've given you. And you can even look all this up for yourself. I'm not just coming it up out of my head. There's real stories and real facts about all of this stuff. Just a lot of people don't realize it. But if you really think, if you write a list of everything down that you ate in one day, and if you've noticed any changes in your behavior or other symptoms of your body, just look back at all of what you ate that day or drank. Just really think about it. Well, alright, that's a wrap on the subject of artificial dyes. This video is made for educational purposes only. Have a good day.